Welcome to Desteni I Process. Tonight we are talking about Mad Max Fury Road. We have a guest, Valentin from Slovenia.
Hi.
And it's an interesting movie, had a lot of critics, and it's simply an action movie. But somehow we wanted to bring in, because there are much of the symbolism what could be related to real world. This is a live discussion, and anyone just currently watching it can ask questions in the Q&A section. And Valentin, would you like to talk about what's the movie about in short?
Yeah, Mad Max is a trilogy of movies. This is the latest issue, 2015 issue, Fury Road. And Max is ex-policeman who has been chasing criminals down the highways. And now it's like a post-apocalyptic era where there is lack of resources, lack of gas, lack of water, and people are like in the desert fighting for survival, building groups and fighting each other. And Mad Max is like individual who is trying to be the good guy and to, survive. And this movie, Fury Road, is very dynamic, full of fire effects and dynamics, and full of symbolisms that we will discuss today.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the movie starts, as also he's explaining where he came from, and then we immediately see that he's hearing voices or seeing images, like voices in the head. And it's an interesting point. It's like those he couldn't save, he's still hearing them, like haunting him or something like this. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is he's a model of superhero. So most of movies have some kind of heroes who want to, save the world, and he's also wanting to save people, and he promised other people that he will take care of them, that he will protect them, but they died. So they are now hunting him from the grave. He constantly gets images of these dead people, young people, old people that are judging him because he did not save them. And so he could not have peace of mind. He's struggling with this thinking processes and mental processes.
Yeah, it's like seeing these images within on his mind, and it's basically his own regret, what he couldn't do. And what was interesting for me, that I also had these voices in my head, not that separately like others I was hearing, but I was constantly hearing my own judgments from my past. I should have done this. I shouldn't done this. And this kind of voices was like totally occupying me. So I was unable to make conversations. It was interesting. And I was an introvert child, and I had a lot of shame and regret what I haven't done or what I have done. But the point was interesting because I couldn't change until I did not let these points go. What would you suggest to those people who would experience similar haunting voices in the head?
Yeah, I can say that I also had similar issues. My parents were quite demanding, and I have to prove myself. And if I made something that was not very perfect, I made some mistake. The first would be that I would start to judge myself. So the voices of the people from my surrounding become my inner voices, and they started to judge me from within myself. And I had to, become aware of this fact that perfection is an illusion. We cannot do everything that we imagine, or we cannot be like others imagine that we must be. We all make mistakes. The life is a game, a play, and we have limited capacity to act. We have fragile bodies. We have limited possibilities of changing this world. So we have to realize this fact and accept this fact, and not live in some illusional ideas of perfection that we cannot practically, physically manifest here. And what assisted me in realizing these points, in achieving awareness about this, was the educational material that Desteni Group put together, and which is freely available for everyone in form of YouTube videos, forums, and especially I would recommend everyone that struggles with voices and images in your mind, in your head, to take a look at Desteni I Process Lite, free online introduction course, where you will learn how the mind functions, how feelings are created, how voices in the head or thoughts are created, and how we can, let's say, take control of these images and voices and become inner stable and direct ourselves effectively in this world and make the most of our potentials.
Yeah, definitely. Especially also because once it's becoming a habit or accepted automatically, then it can disturb our own effectiveness in the real world, like becoming more and more intense, and then we are becoming possessed by our own imaginations, basically. Yes.
Yeah, we have to take charge in our mental process, because if we do not take control of our thoughts, the thoughts will become even stronger, even louder, and eventually they can drive us into suicide or into some destructive habits like drinking alcohol, like taking drugs, and so on. So it is important, very important, a basic life skill to master your mind, to master your voices and images in your mind, in your head.
Yeah, definitely. We can go by the storyline also in relation to the movie. Like, so in the story, Max is captured basically and being taken to this sort of citadel with this, I don't know, the gang or the group of people. Immortan Joe is the leader, and they are this white-headed war soldiers, war boys that he has. And then it's an interesting system I found in relation to our world also, because they are sort of indoctrinated, like they have to fight for the leader, and if they die in the battle, they would go into Valhalla, a sort of heaven, which is an interesting brainwashing, basically, I guess. And can you relate to that in real world or anything?
Yeah, Valhalla is expression for the heavens, for the world that we experience when we die, when our physical body dies. So it is basically a promise of all the religions and the leaders that use religion to recruit people for some idea, like you have to support our common agenda, and if you will die, you will go to heaven and have, I don't know, 13 virgins there, and you will live happily ever after.
Yes.
So it is a promise of life after death that is ideal, that is perfect, that you will not have to suffer anymore, but you have to sacrifice yourself in this reality for some leader in order to, live after some illusional idyllic life. And this is something that is very dangerous. Religions are dangerous because people become obsessed with hope about what they will experience after this life, after death, and they disregard this physical reality. They see this physical reality just like some temporary manifestation that can be, totally destroyed and used for some purposes of some groups. So this religion, these beliefs are what makes us not commonsensical. They drive us mad, and Mad Max is also mad and is not seeing the picture because he is possessed by some beliefs and images and feelings of emotions and feelings. So we have to remove ourselves from the illusions of our mind and live here practically, and look how we can make heaven on earth here, and not hoping for some alternative reality after we die.
Yeah, definitely. And also these soldiers are praising this guy, even his name is Immortan. If he would be like immortal, like a symbol of a god on earth living. But we can see also he's a sick old man. He's basically using these technical tools to remain effective and be able to walk. And also they have these problems that they all have these tumors. That's why he's having this sort of couple of wives. He's trying to breed the perfect children, become warlords, and then they refuse it. So basically, it's a message also that women say that who killed the world when they escape, and then on the wall they wrote up this message that who killed the world, and it's an interesting question they ask.
Yeah. Diseases, sicknesses like tumors, cancer is mostly the result of some mental process that creates conflict within our physical bodies. So our thoughts, our emotions, if they are allowed to follow some unrealistic ideas, create energies that slowly destroy our physical bodies. And oftentimes the people who are angry, who are mad, who just look for the negative, become ill. And this is in the movie shown very clearly. And we can be selfish and look just for our own interests. And if we act this way, we are like a cancer cell. Cancer is a cell that only cares for self-interest. And cancer then eventually grows and kills the host. So we, the people, are trapped in our minds and are separated from the understanding that we are part of this physical world, of this physical reality, and we are destroying this world. And in the movie Mad Max, it is shown how the world can become if we continue this path, that we will turn it into desert, that there will be a scarcity of resources. So we must start to understand that we all share this planet together, and not just the people, but other living beings as well. We have to treat our other animals and plants as equals and see how we can live here together in harmony.
Yeah, interesting what you mentioned, that animals, there are not much animals pictured in the movie as well.
To answer the question, the specific question that has been repeated a couple of times in this movie, who killed the world? We all did. We are all equally responsible for everything that is happening in this world. We have, every individual has immense power to change, to influence events in this world, especially if we, like-minded people that are aware that we must share this work together and share all resources equally. If we stand together as a group, then the accumulative effect is being created, a synergistic effect is being created. And we can change this world to what is best for all quite fast if we start to collaborate. So we are all responsible for this world. We are all allowing it to be killed, and we have all responsibility and opportunity to stop this killing.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And interesting symbolism also when they are using blood donors, that they require others to suck their blood because they are so weak that they have to be pumped up with fresh blood. And then Max also ending up becoming this blood donor. Yeah. And then he's just being used as a blood bag, as they refer him.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting symbolism I catched when they checking this altar, when they are all grabbing these vehicle wheels, and then they praise it like V8, the combustion motor, what they praise. And it's how related to petrol and gasoline and oil, basically. And also how that gives a power, apparently, for people. And how they are using this power to domination. And it's also reflecting back quite much in this current world. Because who has the power, who has the guns? Also the other group in the movie depicted, the gun people and the petrol people, and then the immortal Joe, who is basically a religious figure, and then they are all being able to rule this group of people, also depriving resources, the water, for instance, as it's obvious that they could have shared all the water with all the people, but they decided not to. So basically, they are just allowing them to survive, and then most of the people are becoming this survivalist completely in this movie, as Max is also obsessed with his own survival in the beginning, and how he starts to transform as he's traveling with the woman to come back as a human, actually, and start speaking. Interesting, I found. Would you like to add something like that to that?
Yeah, fire and combustion is very interesting symbolism. We are now slowly overcoming the era of burning the fossil fuels, gas, petrol, oil, and we are now coming to the era of electric motors. So the fire, the combustion, the explosions are very attractive to human eye. You know, it's nice to see the fire burning, to something exploding, but it also has devastating consequences. And it's not just the oil and the derivatives that we turn into fire and combust. It's also the energy within ourselves, within our physical bodies, that is being consumed by the mind. The mind is actually a parasitic symbiotic system that needs our physical body energy to function, and it is being converted from our life source of our physical bodies into this mind energy. So the mind can be used as a useful tool, but if we allow our mind to take control, to allow these voices in our heads to become stronger and to direct us, the mind will direct us into activities that will eventually deteriorate and destroy our physical bodies.
Yeah, for instance, fear or aggression is really intense.
Yeah. So we also have some kind of fire within ourselves. We are burning within our like anger, especially Mad Max. He's mad, he's angry, and the emotions, especially emotions of anger, but equally the positive emotions like love can combust our physical bodies and deplete our life resources, and then we become sick, and eventually, and we become physically older, so much more quicker, and eventually our physical bodies die. And if we control our minds, we can live much more healthier, satisfying lives, and much longer.
Yeah, definitely. For instance, my own example is that I was constantly afraid and angry at myself, and I was burning inside. It was like a nuclear fusion, constantly growing, and medical issues I had. And as I started to write down my mind and understand the patterns, why is this anger? I accept, and how I can find redemption or forgiveness for myself, and what I must do in my actions to change myself. And then I was able to calm down, and the anger was losing its power, its fuel, because I was not participating in the judgments and in my mind and these intense emotions, and I was able to just be here and see the common sense, what I must change in order to prevent myself to go again in this angry mode, to become mad and destructive. And in this movie, it's specifically mostly about aggression. It's not a nice example they give how they can change in terms of they must fight through this gang. But it's a good reminder that we don't have to get to this point, I guess, because we can start working ourselves before losing our own temper and get totally mad. And even in the world system, as I see all these issues, and even locally, we have these football matches, and people are getting mad. This going into riots and raging on the street, and it's quite an indication that it's the same as this. Yes, this combustion within we must face and take responsibility for. I totally agree.
Yeah, we must stop this fury, this madness, this anger, this competition, this fighting. We must calm down, become cool, cool, physically cool, not hot, but cool. And to calm down and to collaborate. Basically, it comes to understanding that we must share the resources. There can be no possessions. We cannot own natural resources. We are part of this world, and every resources are for everyone that is living on this planet.
Yeah, definitely. And also this little group who are going with the truck, they are trying to restore this hope for humanity. Also, the old ladies they meet, they are holding this bag of seeds because the world became swamp and lifeless desert, and they are trying to find a place where they can restart or give birth to life again. And also, I found it interesting that these young women are preparing to give birth, like baby, and also the old ladies having these seeds for the nature to give rebirth. And so it's interesting symbolism, I guess.
Yeah, actually, we also use the term we must birth ourselves as life from the physical.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if we must become life, that actually means that currently we are not life. We are a system. We are like a kind of automated devices running the programs that we inherited from our ancestors, from other people. And these programs are driving us into competition, into fighting, into destruction. So when we stop these programs, then we become one with life. We become aware that we are part of life, and we start to support life. And this is the key.
Yeah, and also it's important to realize that there are also people living on the edges, also symbolized in the movie, like these scavengers are trying to just rob anyone walking by, and they are also existing in the system like they have no other choice but to take whatever they can. And also we can judge them as enemies or a threat, instead of realizing that they are basically just asking for the same basic resources we already have, but we fear to share because we might not have enough then. And then this possession of fear gets us into a position when we literally manifest fights and wars after resources, and we can just completely lost ourselves within these fights, instead of just rationalize and use common sense to share, to equally give the opportunity to birth life for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the movie, this master, the Lord, is controlling the water, is controlling the resources, and is thus creating scarcity. And others are then left to fight each other for these scarce resources. And if we create a system where resources are distributed equally, there is no more need to fight. But in order to achieve that, we must firstly stop the fight in our head, in our thoughts. We must not allow anymore our thoughts in our minds to direct us into fights. We must become directive, and if we see some thought, hear some thought that drive us into conflict with ourselves or with others, we must say, stop. I'm not allowing this. Take a breath, because breathing is anchoring our awareness back into our physical bodies, and then redirect ourselves based on the principle of what is best for all.
Yeah, definitely. It's simple common sense, but if we are obsessed to listening our thoughts and following these reactions, we are so too busy to see the simplest solution, what is just being here in the physical. Okay, another symbolism, quite interesting to see the cars, for instance, as I was realizing when I was seeing how they made the movie, that they try to symbolize the car owners with their own image and likeness of their mind, beingness, with their own cars. Like Immortan Joe, the leader, has this double Cadillac, or the People Eater, who is the symbol of the petrol system. He has this Mercedes truck, also this limousine with his slaves, and he's big and he's counting the accounts and thinking about the profit. And also this gunslinger guy who wants just to shoot everything, and he's basically sitting on a tank, and he's also losing himself within this bloodlust when he's just shooting at the night scene in the desert. And it's interesting to consider that what kind of car we choose, or things we gather around ourselves, how it's symbolizing our own mind or our own truth, so to speak. I found that as interesting.
Yeah, good points. We make decisions in every moment: what to buy, what to wear. Do we want to impress others with what we buy, with how we show ourselves in the public, or are we practical? And a lot of people, like for example, as you said, buy cars to show the image that they want to project, that
Yes.
they want to feel admired, accepted. And this is because they are not accepting themselves. They need confirmation from others, praise from other people. And this is the addiction that can never be fulfilled. One has to firstly accept itself fully as it is, and then when we stop egoistic thoughts to direct us, we can then direct ourselves into creating a world of collaboration, harmony, and abundance.
Yeah, exactly. And also what I found that if we are not able to deal with our own mind internally, then we start to act upon it and starting to manifest it, externalizing it, what is actually happening in this world currently, that we are externally manifesting these systems around us. We are dependent on these machines and cars and petrol and combustion and war and destruction. And we must take responsibility for all we created externally and take a holistic view that we can embrace everything and take responsibility as ourselves, as the world. And that can also anchor ourselves into this consistency, what is required to birth ourselves as life in the physical. Because each breath I take, I am here regardless of what I think. And those are the facts we share. And if we are losing these points, we are following the false prophet, so to speak, because losing the opportunity to make the world better, not just ourselves or own interest, but for all actually. And it is always a constant fear that it is not enough for all, so we must become this hierarchy that haves and have-nots, but it's mathematically obvious that can be shared equally, I guess.
Yes.
So that's why we suggest to check out the Desteni I Process, because it's simple and it's direct and it's common sense, no mystical things, no beliefs, just simply applying ourselves and empowering ourselves and writing and finding our own voice and words and redefining our existence. So it's a good reflection, I guess, even from Mad Max can be applied. Would like to add something? Last words?
Yeah, exactly. If we feel lack of something within ourselves, we then externalize this. We start to look something that will fulfill our void, our emptiness, with something from outside of us. We try to buy things, to have relationships with people that have what we want, or that we think they are like what we want to become. And the key is to fulfill ourselves within, to understand that we already are who we are. We are whole. We are full. We are life. And we do not need anything from within to be what we are. All we need is to stop believing thoughts that are created by our minds that try to convince us that we are something that we are not. And Desteni I Process is science of the mind. It is science of life. The information that we all need, basic knowledge to understand what we are comprised of, and how we can direct every part of us, especially the mind that is intangible, that is invisible, how we can effectively take control of our mind, of our thoughts, and become free within ourselves and become full, self-aware, confident beings, functional beings that are able to become custodians of this planet and provide for everyone equally.
Yes, perfectly worded. Exactly. Okay, so we can wrap this up. I guess it was a great closing, if you agree.
Yes.
And thank you very much for sharing some common sense. And
A pleasure.
thank you for the viewers, and bye everyone. See you next time.
Bye-bye.